joining us on this special day as we rededicate our healthcare center named in honor of a true American hero, a Green Bay native, Milo C. Humphrey. This month marks the 80th anniversary of the day when Milo, a native of Green Bay, displayed extraordinary bravery during the famed Battle of the Bulge in Belgium during World War II. We are honored for his legacy and celebrate the ongoing commitment of this clinic that we serve our veterans with the same dedication that Milo showed for his country. We ask at this time that you please rise, if able, as we'd like to begin today's ceremony with the presentation of our nation's colors, followed by the national anthem, and then please remain standing for the invocation. So if you can please stand. The colors will be presented by a joint color guard comprised of the VF veterans from the Green Bay VFW Noble 2037, which Milo was part of, and the Northeast Wisconsin Marine Corps League. Our national anthem will be performed today by a quartet from the Bayport High School. Come on up, guys. Okay, go ahead. Present arms. Order, arms, post colors. Thank you for that beautiful rendition of our national anthem, Bayport High School. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce Chaplain Donald Bloomberg, who will deliver today's invocation. Chaplain Bloomberg.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we gather for this rededication of the Milo C. Humphrey VA Healthcare Center, we honor those who have helped to preserve our freedom, the sacrifices each has made for this country. We pause to remember the sacrifice that Milo C. Humphrey made for his fellow servicemen in the Army and for this country. We are thankful for his heroism, his prompt action during the Battle of the Bulge to prevent the loss of the lives of many American soldiers. As being the most highly decorated Brown County veteran of World War II, this building is named in his honor. Lord, we honor the past, the present, and future military members who have served, are serving, and will be serving our country. Our prayer is that this facility will continue to provide the best care for our veterans. We are committed to caring for and serving our veterans. Today we rededicate this building and all those represented by it. Bless this building, the walls, the offices, the chairs, the exam and procedure rooms, the waiting areas. Bless each of our staff members, providers, volunteers, leadership, police officers and support staff, and anyone else I may have missed. Bless each person who walks through these doors. May they find safety, peace, respect, caring, trustworthiness, and humility. Bless each person who has or who will enter this building. Heavenly Father, guard and protect the site and all who enter this structure. May it provide hope for the broken, strength for the weak, and peace to all people. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome some of our distinguished guests who have joined us here today. Please hold your applause until the end when everybody is introduced. We are honored to be joined today by representatives from Milo C. Humpner's family, including his daughter Geraldine and her partner Sabine Van Alk, and Jackie, Jerry's sister, as well as Gary, Milo's nephew. Mr. Tim Dacey, our administrator for the VA Northeast Wisconsin Ambulatory Clinics. Mr. James McLean, the executive director of this Block E healthcare system, which includes its main medical center in Milwaukee, as well as its outpatient clinics in Union Grove, Oconomowoc, Appleton, Cleveland, and here in Green Bay. Dr. Daniel Zomchek, the VA's network director for the VISN 12 region, representing all of the Veterans Health Administration facilities in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Upper Michigan. Representing the Green Bay Packers is Ms. Katie Hermsen, the team's public affairs manager. Green Bay Mayor Eric Genrick. Brown County Veteran Service Officer Joe Aulick. Betsy Rotzenberg, Executive Assistant to Brown County Executive Troy Streckenbach. Wisconsin Department of Veteran Affairs Deputy Secretary Christopher McElgin. Darrell Carlson, representing the Office of Congressman Scott Fitzgerald in the Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District. Dustin Hackelbroth, representing the Office of Congressman Glenn Grothman in the Wisconsin 6th Congressional District. Amy Rosop, representing the Office of Senator Ron Johnson. And Congressman Tony Weed, representing the 8th Congressional District. So at this time, it is my honor to introduce Mr. Tim Dacey, the administrator for this Block E Healthcare System's Northeast Wisconsin ambulatory clinics, including the Green Bay VA Healthcare Center, to welcome you all here today and offer remarks how we strive every day here in Green Bay to honor Milo's legacy through our work and our service to our veterans in following our VA core values: I care, integrity, commitment, advocacy, respect, and excellence. Mr. Dacey.
Good morning. On behalf of myself and my outstanding staff that work with me, we welcome our guests to this rededication of the Milo C. Humpner VA Healthcare Center today on the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge. Our staff are proud and dedicated to serve our veterans, striving to bring high quality care to them. It is our mission to serve those who served, following those VA I care values of integrity, commitment, advocacy, respect, and excellence. And we're here and proud to do to follow in Milo's steps of taking care of those. I'm going to thank you all here and welcome you for coming to the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dacey. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to introduce Congressman Tony Weed to offer his remarks.
Well, thank you very much. It is such an honor to be here, and good morning. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you here today. It's an honor to be here and see the VA Healthcare Center rededicated to honor Milo C. Humpner. Milo's bravery and heroism at the Battle of the Bulge is an inspiration to us all. 80 years ago, he went above and beyond his call of duty in service to his country. It's important that we continue to honor him and to tell his story so future generations know the sacrifices that were made to allow us to live in the greatest and the freest country in the world. It's stories like Milo's that make me proud to be an American and to call Green Bay home. It's an honor of a lifetime to serve you in Congress, and I promise to be an advocate for our veterans who risked everything for our country. Your service to our country can never be repaid, but I will do everything I can to serve you in Washington. Our office is open, and if you are in need of any assistance with the VA or any other federal agency, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're ready to get to work for you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our veterans. And God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Congressman Weed. At this time, I'd like to introduce Christopher McElgan, the Deputy Secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Veteran Affairs, to share his remarks.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for the kind introduction and the invitation to speak here today. First of all, allow me to send some warm greetings from WDVA Secretary James Bond. He apologizes he could not be here with you today. I also want to thank all of you. Thank you for taking the time to be here today as we celebrate the rededication of this VA Health Center in honor of Milo C. Humpner and commemorate the 80th anniversary of heroic actions in Belgium during the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. As I'm sure many of you are, I'm a student of military history, and I consume it pretty regularly. I think I read through the book Band of Brothers by Stephen Ambrose in probably less than 48 hours. And I'm on an annual basis, and I have two young boys that would tell you they know the holidays are coming because I'm restarting watching Band of Brothers on HBO again. And I do that every year as a reminder of the sacrifice that was made by all those soldiers, not just in World War II, but across all the conflicts that the United States military has represented themselves in. And when I heard about Milo's history and his service at the Battle of the Bulge, and it's just a special connection, and I'm so honored to be here today to celebrate. Today is also a celebration to the commitment we all share, the commitment and duty to make veterans' lives better. On behalf of the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, I am here today to reaffirm our steadfast commitment to our state's veterans. Together, we are strong. It's one of the things that WDVA emphasizes in everything we do with our partners on the state and local level. One of the most significant duties of WDVA is connecting veterans to the benefits they are entitled to, including their VA healthcare benefits. Accessible healthcare is crucial for a veteran to live their best civilian lives. As a proud Navy veteran, I am grateful for the phenomenal care and services provided by the VA home. Being here today is our way of saying that WDVA stands with the VA and the critical services they provide to Wisconsin veterans. We stand with the VA as they help veterans with their physical health needs, and we stand with the VA as they save lives with their mental health and therapeutic services. We know the VA Healthcare Center, Milo's name and legacy, proudly displayed here, will continue to make a difference in the lives of Wisconsin veterans and their families. Thank you for having me today to join you as we celebrate this special day.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to introduce the Mayor of Green Bay, Eric Genrich, to share with us what it means to him, this facility, and named in Milo's honor. Mayor.
Well, thanks so much for the introduction, Ken, and thanks for having me here today to celebrate the rededication of the Milo Humpner VA clinic here in the city of Green Bay. As somebody who's been involved in public a bit, I remember the effort to bring this VA clinic to the city of Green Bay, a long-standing effort led by veterans in this region and community leaders, but made possible ultimately by an act of Congress. So I want to recognize and thank Congressman Weed for being here, all the federal representatives and their designees for joining us. It means a lot when we see our veterans, thank our veterans for their service. It means even more when actions are taken, when policies are adopted to actually serve and recognize our veterans who have done everything for us, but made this country the freest and greatest country in the world. So it's important for us to recognize and rededicate achievements and rededicate ourselves, our community, all of us as public servants to continue that and to continue to support our veterans and provide them with the essential health care that they need through the VA and other venues. So it's a tremendous honor for me to be here to celebrate Milo as the proud son of the city of Green Bay and and of this region. And so just incredibly grateful to the family, to all of our veterans for being here, to all the VA staff for the work that they do to serve our veterans every day. So it's a great day in Green Bay. Thanks so much for having me, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd now like to introduce Zablocki VA Healthcare Systems Public Affairs Officer, Joe. Joe.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the history of what Milo did in late December of 1944. So if you're familiar with World War II history, you know that by December of 1944, the Allies, having broken out of the hedgerow country of France following the D-Day landings in the summer, had pushed into Belgium as they drove toward Germany. In a desperate last-gasp bid to force the Allies to the negotiating table, the Nazis launched a winter offensive with the intent to split the Allied forces and capture the strategically important city of Antwerp, and threatened to upend months of Allied progress. As Christmas 1944 approached, Private First Class Milo C. Humphrey and the 551st Parachute Infantry Regiment, attached to the famed 82nd Airborne Division, were on the northern edge of the German offensive. On December 3rd, Milo found himself in Lannion, Belgium, where without any orders to do so, he elected to stay even after the town had been captured by the Germans. Milo's truck, full of ammunition, had slid into a ditch. He was ordered to stay with the truck until a reserve unit could arrive and help pull him out, while the rest of the 551st rushed to the front. Before friendly forces could arrive, elements of the 2nd SS Panzer Division arrived in Lannion. Electing to stay behind, Milo destroyed his truck and hid in the city. He literally became a one-man army with his harassing actions within the city while it was occupied by the Germans. He destroyed multiple armored vehicles, neutralized an enemy machine gun position, and captured many enemy soldiers while also guarding a church so the local townspeople could celebrate Mass secretly on Christmas Eve. It's pretty awesome stuff. He ultimately received the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions on December 23rd and 24th of 1944, one of our nation's highest military honors for valor. His citation, presented in June 1945, read, "The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, July 9th, 1918, takes pleasure in presenting the Distinguished Service Cross to Private First Class Milo C. Humphrey, United States Army, for extraordinary heroism in connection with military operations against an armed enemy while serving with Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 551st Parachute Infantry Battalion, attached to the 82nd Airborne Division, in action against enemy forces on 23 and 24 December 1944 in Belgium. Private First Class Humphrey, on December 23rd, elected to remain in Lannion after its capture by German armored elements, despite the fact that he had not been ordered to do so. His harassing action, at great risk to his life, resulted in the loss of 2 German half-tracks, a machine gun position, and a German officer and 2 enlisted men. His prompt action in warning Allied forces of the presence of this German force prevented the loss of many Allied vehicles and the loss of lives of American soldiers. Private First Class Humphrey's extraordinary heroism, personal and devotion to the tradition of the forces of the United States, and reflect great credit upon himself, 82nd Airborne Division, and the United States Army. This is Distinguished Service Citation from 1945. As cold food, been trying to fight yourself in frozen must have been quite a rude awakening, as evidenced by its unit patch, though featuring a palm tree. But it was ultimately assigned to the European theater. And after jumping into southern France in August 1944 and seeing their first action in the French Alps, the 551st was summoned in December 1944 to help stop the German offensive. The battalion entered the Battle of the Bulge with nearly 650 troops. After suffering a tremendous amount of casualties during the battle, only 114 14 soldiers remained by January 7th, 1945. Do the math. That's pretty horrific. The 551st disbanded by the end of the month, and its remaining soldiers were absorbed into the 82nd and 17th Airborne Divisions for the remainder of the war. Our local hero, Milo, was one of 2 soldiers in the unit to earn the Distinguished Service Cross. In 2001, the unit finally received accolades it deserved when the Army Chief of Staff awarded the 551st the Presidential Unit Citation for its actions during the battle. Milo's story is something for Green Bay to be proud of. It's a story of bravery, personal sacrifice, and devotion to duty that reflect the highest traditions of the military and have left an indelible mark on both our community and our nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, would you please join me in pausing to observe a moment of silence in honor of Milo C. Humphrey, the soldiers of the 551st Parachute Infantry, and all veterans of the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. I now like to introduce Mr. James McLean, the Executive Director of the WLUK Healthcare System, to offer his remarks on the importance of both Milo C. Humphrey's legacy and of this world-class healthcare facility that we have here in Green Bay. Mr. McLean.
Just like to talk about a connection. 39 years ago, I was fortunate enough to go to jump school. And I was forbidding for all in there. And one of the things that was emphasized to us almost from the beginning was our lineage as reputation that was earned by the American paratroop was we were the devils in baggy pants, that we in the engagement between my trooper and SS Panzer unit, in some ways the outcome was sort of preordained, because against Milo, they were outnumbered. So it truly is a pleasure to be here. I want to thank all of our veterans for your service to our country. I want to thank the family of our veterans for serving and supporting all of our veterans. To all of the distinguished guests and our volunteers, thank you for making this happen. And to all of the employees, thank you for the great service you provide to our veterans in supporting one another. God bless you all, and have a happy holiday season.
It is now my honor to introduce Dr. Daniel Zomchek, the Network Director for the VA's Vision 12, which includes all VA medical centers in Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, and Illinois. Please welcome Dr. Zomchek.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for holding this event. Wow, it is the Battle of the Bulge is something you literally read about in history books, and I love the recap of what about what Milo, I'll say, has accomplished and what he represents. I got to be part of the Milwaukee system and be up here in Green Bay for a number of years. I got to serve as the medical center director over Zablocki prior to Mr. McLean taking over, who's doing a fantastic job, by the way. And I just love this place. It's just the community up here is fantastic. The staff is just incredible. And when I think about the spirit of what this place is about, it really is about what Milo and our veterans have accomplished. I mean, it's not about fortune, right? It's not about fame. It's about what's doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And that's what, you know, I hear Milo's story exemplify. And frankly, I believe that's what the VA organization exemplifies as well. Never in my career, I've been in, my whole professional career of over 20 years has been in the VA, and not once have I had to make a decision that puts other factors in front of what's best for the quality of the care for our vet. And I don't know any other healthcare system who can say that. And I think I really want to thank all of our stakeholders, our veteran service organizations, our congressional folks, the mayor, all of our supporting cast, if you will, that surrounds us to encourage and support us in doing the right thing by our vet. But I especially want to echo what Mr. McLean said about thanking our staff, because I know that that's what you're all about. You're not, you know, in the VA because, you know, you're looking for riches or you're looking for, you know, fame, you know, in the press or anything like that. You're here because you care about, you know, the best mission in the world. So with that, I just want to say thanks for being here and appreciate just this entire event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zablocki. The effort to put this ceremony together began last spring when our public affairs office, the 8th anniversary of Milo's heroism in Belgium. When this facility opened and dedicated to Milo in 2013, a plaque was hung at the front entrance. Unfortunately, that plaque fell and was damaged off its display. As the 80th anniversary approached, we worked together to repair the plaque and permanently display it in a prominent area here for all to see and take pride. And they come to this healthcare center to receive the world-class healthcare. Over the past several months, our staff here at the Green Bay facility has been working to repair the plaque and restore it to a prominent location. We also want to thank the Hempner family, who was kind enough to donate photos and artifacts of Milo's time in the Army for a brand new display dedicated to Milo, which now includes the Distinguished Service Cross presented to him in 1945. So today, I'd like to introduce Kyle Newkirk, a volunteer services specialist here at the VA's Northeast Wisconsin Ambulatory Clinics. Kyle has worked tirelessly for months, along with a lot of others and myself, to painstakingly assemble this display, which now has a permanent and prominent location here at the Green Bay Healthcare Center for all those who enter the doors to see. Without further ado, let's unveil this fantastic new display and formally rededicate this facility in honor of Milo. Kyle. So I'm going to turn over the microphone to Kyle to do the honors and then tell us a little bit more about the display for this rededication. So, Kyle, Mr. McLean, if you want to come on up. Jerry, I'm going to move this over a little bit. Here we go. Here's the unveil. Thank you all, and what a wonderful tribute. So, Kyle, the floor is yours. Here you go.
Well, thanks, Ken. I actually got kicked out of jump school, so that's my, I don't know if I'm even qualified to be up here, but I was always kind of the bad boy of the group. So I usually do better speaking off cuff, but today I actually prepared some notes, not because I was concerned I'd leave something out, but to keep myself on track and not to go off talking about Milo and the Battle of the Bulge all day, which I probably could. Although there were whispers of doing a rededication event for Milo since last spring, my involvement in this project did not start until September when I met with Jerry and Sabina, where they provided me various pictures, letters, as well as Milo's medals. So I knew then that we needed to do something special, and I promised them the project would be done well and done accurately. But I just didn't realize how big it was end up going to be. At first, we were simply planning on displaying a plaque along with his medals, but as I started digging into the story more, we ended up with so much information that we needed this display case. Luckily, we had one just sitting in the back, sitting there with nothing in it, so things were just working out. We put together a nice display to commemorate Milo and better tell his story for all patients and employees to appreciate here. I also felt it necessary to acknowledge the sacrifices of Milo's brothers in the 551st Battalion. If anyone is familiar with the Band of Brothers, I know that was mentioned earlier, I think Milo's story in the 551st gives it a run for its money. The artifacts in the display all have a special connection to Milo's story, and a great deal of time and effort were spent covering every little detail to make it as accurate as possible, from the palm tree logo on the helmet, ammo pouches of the only weapons Milo had with him during his exploits in Lignan, and also an 81 millimeter mortar cloverleaf end cap as Milo is transporting his outside of Lignan, an event that seemed unlucky for the Allies at first, but would end up being a bigger misfortune for the German 2nd SS Panzer Division. This event today is somewhat bittersweet for myself, as I very much enjoyed putting this project together and learning of Milo's story. In fact, I was probably spending a little bit too much time researching Milo at work, and I started realizing I might have a problem when I was looking forward to Mondays more than Fridays. I kept Milo's medals in my office, and I think his Distinguished Service Cross started channeling some of its magic energy as I became increasingly motivated to do something bigger and more meaningful the more research I did. As the project grew, I knew I was going to need some help to get it done right, and lucky for me, I didn't have to look too far. For those who don't know, I oversee the volunteer program throughout the Northeast Wisconsin VA system, and we had some remarkable individuals step up to help, and without their contributions, this project wouldn't have been possible. There were a number of people who supported us on our project, and I'm sure I'll leave some folks out who assisted in one way or another, but I'd like to thank a few of our volunteers who made important contributions. Linda Grunwald, where's Linda at? Greg Hammond, Mark Perlott, find a parachute for the display and not thinking he'd find one, but to give him something to do, and he actually pulled it off. So thank you all for your contributions. Some other folks I'd like to mention, Karen Cashman. Karen, go ahead, raise your hand. Karen, thanks. Offering your help in taking the initiative, running all over town, finding some of the items for the display, even some items that we ended up not even using. So thank you, Karen. Elizabeth Carlson, I don't know if she's here today. Elizabeth, she did all the sewing, all the patches, and putting replica uniform that we have here. Elizabeth was an Army vet herself, so she was very qualified to handle the project, so thank you, Elizabeth. Terry Bartell, the artist. Terry's contributions basically made this project look like a professional was in charge of it rather than a preschooler such as myself would have done. So some of the items in the display are actual artifacts and some are newly purchased items, and Terry made everything look authentic. She did a remarkable job, so thank you for the final touches you made, Terry. This project simply wouldn't have happened if not for James Francois. James? James, like me, was probably only other person who lost sleep over this project, and he probably had to set his alarm clock to get up this morning to make this event today. But James has a little more special connection with this project than others because, like Milo and Mr. McLean, he's a former paratrooper, something I can't say. So without any guidance, James created the shadow box, holding Milo's actual medals. He also spent considerable time and resources putting this whole thing together, finding the right patches and the uniform hardware for the display. As we found out more and more detail about Milo and World War II uniform regulations, we had to make continuous changes from the initial plan, and James was very flexible in making those corrections without anyone asking him to do so. So thank you, James. By the way, if anyone's looking for an authentic World War II M1 Garand bayonet, please see James after the event. I'd also like to point out a few of my fellow employees for their contributions to the project. Joe Travola, Ken, Sean Siebold, Jason Ward for your contributions. Thank you guys very much. Tyler Rodenkirk, I don't know if Tyler came here. He's our a medical media guy down in Milwaukee. He does a great job. He actually is that we have down there at the bottom. So thank you, Tyler. If he's not here, please. Also, I'd like to say a thank you to Jessica Stradinsky and Mr. Casey for giving me the opportunity and flexibility to work on this. There was never a no or an opposition to anything that we wanted to do except for the hand grenades, the mortar rounds, the machine guns, and the live reenactment that we had planned on doing. But I truly appreciate your guys' support and confidence. So, and also a thank you to Mr. McLean for your outstanding support for our volunteer programs in Northeast Wisconsin here. Thank you, guys. Despite the amazing work by many outstanding individuals, this project was still going to require a little bit more help, and luckily we have some amazing organizations in our local community. First, I'd like to recognize our local Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 224 for their work on providing and honorably folding the flag for the display. Raise your hand, 224. They're a very active chapter and do a lot in the Green Bay area, so thank you guys. I'd also like to especially thank the Neville Museum here in Green Bay. Neville Museum, I think they're in the back there. I feel I owe them a little bit of an apology as they were very willing to assist with this project and be one of the main contributors as they have all of Milo's actual uniforms, patches, relics, and other memorabilia at the museum and offered to provide it to us on a temporary basis. Eventually, we decided that we wanted to go with a more permanent display, and James Peth and the gang over there came over and go through Milo's uniforms, Milo's belongings, so we could make they also provided us with a nice map down at the bottom of Belgium, the situation in Belgium in early winter in 1944. Kind of puts the whole story in perspective for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Battle of the Bulge. I encourage everyone here to take a day and the family and go check out the museum. They have if we were going to make a permanent or Ike-style jacket similar to Milo's jacket that he had donated, this was a closet garage sale or perhaps just a simple purchase online. However, this soon proved to be more difficult locating than I thought, and we were considering going back to a smaller display unless we were able to find one. Luckily, the Veterans of the United Nation had one of these jackets and found out we were on the market for one and graciously offered to donate it here to the facility to be showcased on display here. Further, as luck would have it, it was also the same size as Milo's original jacket, so it was just meant to be. I cannot thank the Veterans of the United Nation enough for this incredible donation, and we appreciate them as partners in the community. So thank you, Veterans of the United Nation. Please. Thank you. Thank you. I was looking Google Maps trying to in Belgium. In French. I recognized that they had an email address. I received a response the next day from the owner. Translating it back to English, the email said, Kyle, indeed Milo's story is very well known here. I will get you in touch with our local historical society. Before I knew it, I was corresponding with a number of contacts in Belgium who sent us a wonderful assortment of information that we use for this display, including pictures of the town during the winter, the train station that Milo hid in initially as the Germans searched through the village. They even sent some comic book clips the Belgian local press made of Milo celebrating his actions that we showcase in the display as well. So I want to say a big thank you to all the locals in Belgium that put the finishing touches on the display, as well as Google Maps and Google Translate too. So finishing up here, it was only fitting that it took the efforts of individuals, community organizations, as well as help from the other side of the world to commemorate a local hero whose actions affected other individuals, communities, and had worldwide implications. And for a facility named in his honor, which stands here to serve individuals within our community who have made and will continue to make sacrifices all over the world. Thank you again for the opportunity for me to spearhead this project. It was an honor and a privilege to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for that and all of the work that you did in putting that together and all of the volunteers that helped out with that and everybody else. So as we prepare to close this ceremony, I want to thank all those that helped and put this ceremony together, including the Hempner family, Santa Claus, who's back there. So if you guys want to see Santa Claus and get some last-minute requests in before Christmas, he's going to be here. So JT Santa Claus in the back over there. Green Bay West High School for singing today in their quartet. The VFW for being here. No, actually, the color guard with the post was actually Milo's post. So Noble Strabo Post 2037 was actually, Milo was part of it. So the color guard today partially was done from that. What's that? Oh, and of course the family members and Jerry and everybody, so thank you. What's that? Oh, yeah. Also, before we go any further, I'd like to bring up Jerry. So Jerry is Milo's daughter, and she would like to say some things for this that was put on together. You know, we couldn't have done it without her and her information that she was able to provide for her father. So Jerry, you want to come on up and say some words for us? Thank you, Jerry. I got you. It's okay. You're welcome.
For my father, as well as for many other young men growing up, was forever changed by the events of World War II. One of 5 children, Milo Clifford Hempner, grew up in a 3-room house on a little knoll in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The house was heated by a wooden isinglass stove in a parlor, a wood and coal burning stove in the kitchen, and a very little heated shed. His parents and sister slept in the parlor in the winter. The boys all slept in the shed built into the back wall of the kitchen. Dad often joked about the perils of being the last one home at night. To huddle in that wall was the sport of champions. Dad hunted game for the family table and worked at a variety of jobs, including taxi, bus, truck, and tractor. He was employed by the Kraft Company, the cheese company, but an outgoing guy with a good sense of humor, he attracted a large group of cousins and friends for Saturday night dances, parties, card games, and etc. Raised in a strict German home, Dad was imbued with a strong sense of right and wrong. When the call came to serve his country during World War II, he joined many of his friends in enlisting in the Army. He trained as a paratrooper with the elite 551st Parachute Infantry Battalion, became a demolitions expert, and he was a marksman, a sharpshooter, and where he earned one of his first medals. When he met Iola Hope Long, it was love at first sight. Totally in love with each other, yet anxious about the war to come, Dad instead insisted that they shake hands. He did not want to leave. He did not want to leave any orphans. The story of my father's valor can be read, as we have heard, it's been beautifully, beautifully given today. However, my story describes a little bit different part of his life. During my early childhood, Dad's war tales told of from his own lips were never meant for my ears. That it was what it was really like to be a soldier in war, to parachute through those skies that looked so easily beautified in my eyes, to engage in hand-to-hand combat, to be one of the heroes and the hunted, to weep with remorse when the horrors seen and those committed, the truth of war as he experienced it. On the lighter note, my parents liked to entertain, and they would especially look for Thanksgiving with its traditional foods like potato dumplings. They brought out the best in everyone. After a festive dinner at my dad's request, the women were retired to the dining room where they were given cocktails to enjoy. The men were to put on aprons while smoking was permitted with cigars and swapped stories, and they cleaned the kitchen. My dad was about the ladies. Afterwards, Dad would bring out a footlocker filled with memorabilia from the war, and he would begin. Separated from his comrades in late December, my father made his way along to the tiny Belgian home of Lignon. I was so honored to be able to visit there recently and see all of these places. His presence was suspected by the enemy and noted by the townspeople. In an effort to secure the town of the incoming tank battalion, a Nazi advance patrol began a house-to-house search for the American soldier rumored to be there. Oops. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. My father, with the rudimentary German language of his childhood, quickly exchanged upbringing. In that quick exchange of faith that must accompany many interactions between people in danger, managed to gain the confidence of the local station master, Victor DeVille, while knowing that he was endangering the life of himself and his family. Mr. DeVille hid my father behind a simple fabric curtain. Bill assured the Germans there were no Americans, and they moved on. Later in our story, the townspeople asked my father guard their church. He had forgotten that it was Christmas Eve. Exhausted still, he went with them and stood outside with only his pistol for a weapon in near zero temperatures in the dark, and he guarded the door. Safe in my corner of the world, I listened to these stories behind a damask curtain between two rooms in our house. I trembled too. I imagined myself in that room, listening as the station master answered the brusque interrogations of the Nazis, telling them that there were no Americans here. The German soldiers, some of them undoubtedly the age of my father, did their trembling behind also affect their lives. When I think of war, I think of this trembling and this heroism. The solitary soldier faced with his own death many times in a day. There's no right or wrong. There's only survival in war. When I was a child, I imagined my daddy in a white parachute floating like dandelion seed against a beautiful blue sky. I know now this bears little resemblance to his 4 wartime jumps. In Belgium, though, my father waged a one-man war against the Germans. He destroyed tanks and trucks. He warned Allied troops. He captured an artillery position. 18 soldiers surrendered to him. Along with others, my father's heroic efforts helped to turn the tide for the Allies during these pivotal days. Patriotism and ideals prompted his enlistment, as did the promise of a better life. He made the world safe for democracy in the same dedicated way he would later strive to achieve the American dream for himself and his family. I am grateful to my father and to all brave soldiers, men and women, who have given their lives in the hopes that as we sit here in the quiet, the beauty, the safety of this place, we dedicate ourselves to peace. And I am grateful to you, today's veterans, who have served our country, and to all who currently are on active duty. Sincerely, thank you. Please have a seat.
Yeah.
I have a couple more things to say to people who have already been noted, but I think have made such a difference for me in my life and my dad. I'd like to acknowledge the open minds, open hearts, and the super